Welcome to a battlefield of minds. Two grandmasters face off where every move cuts like a sword. One mistake, and it's over. This isn't just chess, it's war disguised as strategy. Let's dive in, move by move, into this epic clash. Shaoteng opens with e4, thrusting his king's pawn forward like a general waving the battle flag. The center belongs to him, and he declares it boldly. Wesley So calmly responds with cheeks, setting up the Caro-Kann fortress, silent, solid and utterly unshakable. You advances d4, reinforcing the center and daring Wesley to contest his claim. Wesley strikes back with d5, meeting fire with steel. The duel over the heart of the board begins. You develops his knight to c3, tightening his grip and staring straight into the enemy's lines. Wesley trades on e4, slicing through the center and opening the battlefield for real. You recaptures with his knight, Nick c4, bringing his warrior closer to the front and keeping full control. Wesley develops his bishop to 5, a precise move. The Caro-Kann bishop finally breathes fresh air. You lunges forward with Nga3, harassing the bishop and injecting energy into the position. Wesley retreats to g6, cool under pressure, ready to counter the storm with patience. You pushes h4, the pawn racing like an angry soldier, signaling an early assault on the kingside. Wesley mirrors the tension with h6, a cautious but firm defense to stop the pawn avalanche. You shifts his knight to f3, reinforcing the attack and watching the center like a hawk. Wesley develops his knight to d7, building layers of defense like a wall of granite. You pushes h5, the spearhead digging into enemy territory, a sign that he's not backing down. Wesley calmly tucks his bishop to a7, preserving the key defender, waiting for the counterstrike moment. You mobilizes his dark-squared bishop to d3, locking eyes on the black bishop. Tension crackles between them. Wesley accepts the trade, capturing on d3, a quiet but necessary exchange to relieve pressure. You recaptures with qxd3, keeping his queen centralized, her eyes scanning every weak point in Wesley's camp. Wesley develops his other knight to f6, bringing more muscle into the fray. The black army is fully awake. You castles long, hurling his king to safety while aligning the rook directly toward the black monarch. Aggression declared. Wesley develops his bishop to a7, finishing his setup, steadying before the storm. You centralizes his queen to e2, aiming at both wings. The tension is rising. Wesley replies with c5, striking the center with perfect timing. It's no longer a quiet game. You doubles rooks with Rion, aiming heavy artillery toward the e-file. Danger looms for So. Wesley castles kingside, bringing his king into safety, but also into the line of fire. Knight jumps to 5, like a predator closing in. The attack begins for real. Wesley accepts the challenge with cxd4, punching through the center and counterattacking, while under pressure. Other knight leaps to d4, recapturing with authority. The board now trembles with possibilities. Wesley strikes with bc5, his bishop cutting diagonals and aiming directly at the white king's fortress. Knight on e6 springs forward like lightning, slashing into the heart of black's defense. What a strike! Wesley keeps his cool, recapturing with fc6, removing the invader and opening his f-file for counterplay. Queen checks with qxe6, a brutal thrust that threatens to tear open the black position. Wesley calmly slides his rook to f7, blocking with precision. The defense is tight and resourceful. You sacrifices his bishop with bxh6, detonating the kingside. Explosions everywhere. Wesley counterattacks, instantly with q by 6, aiming at the white king's flank and threatening counterblows. You doubles down with bxe7, grabbing another pawn and pulling Wesley's king into danger. Wesley unleashes cuisses and nicks, trading queens and diffusing the immediate fire. The board breathes, but just barely. U's rook captures on e6, rxex, keeping pressure alive and refusing to retreat. Wesley's rook storms to g7, snatching the bishop on g7. He's back in the game. U's knight captures on g7, nxd7, sacrificing coordination for raw fury. Wesley calmly recaptures with kxe7. The dust settles and black stands firm. U pushes g4, setting up a pawn phalanx, dreaming of a breakthrough. Wesley advances kf7, marching his king to the center with confidence. Endgame mindset activated. U plays red 2, doubling back to organize his forces for the next phase. Wesley mirrors with re8, sighting the open fire like a general controlling the main road. U trades with c8, simplifying as the battlefield quiets slightly. Wesley recaptures with kxe8, his king now taking command of the troops. U checks with Rioni, testing black's coordination and nerve. Wesley calmly sidesteps with kf7, keeping everything secure. U pushes f3, strengthening his center and preparing to roll the kingside pawns. Wesley activates nd5, thrusting his knight forward like a counterpuncher. U's king joins the party with kd2, connecting his army and preparing for the long war. Wesley maneuvers n7-6, knitting his pieces together, solid and ready to strike. U pushes a3, aiming to expand on the queenside, small steps before big battles. Wesley answers with bf2, sliding his bishop into action, targeting weak spots with a grin. U places his rook to e2, defending and waiting for the right moment. Wesley's bishop steps to bg3, keeping white's rook under surveillance. U pushes c4, breaking the silence again, and stretching Wesley's structure. Wesley replies with n4, a venomous move. His knight lurks with deadly intent. U retreats with re3, preparing defense and keeping tension alive. Wesley's knight jumps to n6, repositioning with perfect harmony. The black pieces dance together. U centralizes with kc3, his king taking a bold stand on the front lines. Wesley counters with n7, tightening the net around white's pawns. U pushes b4, trying to seize some space and distract black's forces. Wesley plants his knight on n5. The knight dominates the center like a warlord. U shows shakes, a final desperate spark of life on the kingside. Wesley coolly moves kj6, his king marching forward into the fray, unstoppable. U fires g5, throwing one last punch with his pawns. Wesley captures with nxc5, shredding white's last hopes of attack. U pushes c5, opening another front. He refuses to give up. Wesley calmly captures with kxh6. Now the black king becomes a hunter. Yu moves b5, pressing onward, but his army is thin and scattered. Wesley responds with kg6, his king consolidating the win step by step. Yu advances a4, trying to generate counterplay on the queen side. Wesley marches kf6, the monarch taking total command of the board. Yu pushes a5, running toward a dream that may never come true. Wesley's knight leaps to n6, guarding everything and choking white's activity. Yu plays re2, seeking any counter chance along the file. Wesley's knight lands on nx c5, tearing into white's structure. Yu's pawn pushes a6, his last hope still crawling toward glory. Wesley calmly replies with bx6, extinguishing that flicker. Black now dominates. Yu tries bx6, reopening the line, but his forces are too far apart. Wesley plays nc6. The knight returns triumphantly to the center, a symbol of perfect control. Yu captures on a6 with his pawn. A last desperate swing of the sword, hoping the a-file can still open a miracle. Wesley calmly finishes with n6, his knight landing proudly on the perfect square, the final seal of domination, and the battlefield falls silent at 0-1. The video ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you again, everyone. See you in the next video.